Oh, I need to show you. Yep,
Sorry about that.
that's okay.
And I
And
also actually, I'm sorry, Christy,
go
just
ahead.
want to remind everyone to mute and we're recording. So if you're not comfortable, please feel free to take off your video. So
Thank
you
you.
go ahead, Christy.
Okay, perfect. Um, so just a quick word about Chapel Haven and what we do. We are both a transition program and an independent living program. So most of our adults, I'm sorry, I can't get to there we go. Um, most of our adults come to us anywhere between the ages of about 18 and 30, and they typically will spend about 2 years living on our campus in an apartment setting, developing the skills they'll need for really all the realms of adulting. So, taking care of yourself, taking care of where you live, developing vocational skills and refining those, working on how you communicate with others, how you build and develop relationships. And then they have the option to stay on as part of a lifelong community, getting maybe just a little bit of a la carte supports along the way, while staying connected to that really robust community, offering, social opportunities and those ongoing supports if those are needed. So, as I prepare to introduce the panel to you today, you're going to hear that these adults came from a range of different experiences. And so, panelists, I'm going to ask you, as your slide comes up, to share with the community here today what you were doing right before you came to Chapel Haven, because I think it'll be really great for them to see the variety of experiences that you had before. And I think it will also go to us speaking about the topic today of like, my parents want me to do what? And how that then transitioned into you coming to Chapel Haven and where your path is taking you since then. So, Maya, if you would unmute yourself, please. I'm not going to read through your slide here because I think our folks that are gathered today can do that, and we're going to share this PowerPoint after. But tell us a little bit, Maya, about where you were before Chapel Haven.
Hi guys. I was at a vocational focused program in Pennsylvania. And I lived in a house with a family, and went to work every day at their various enterprises that they run, uh, such as a bakery and a farm, um, those type of things. Um, I would earn money from working at these places. I would garden. I would bake various pastries, um, and then my parents started looking into Chapel Haven, and I wanted to gain more independence, so I ended up coming to Chapel Haven.
Awesome. Thank you, Maya.
Mhm.
And Maya, would you mind sharing how old you are?
I am 25.
Okay, thank you. So our next panelist is Dason. Dason, same question to you. What were you doing before life at Chapel Haven?
So, for the majority of the time, I was spending my time at home. I would go to this program over in New London just to, hang out with other people around my age and stuff, but I mostly kept to myself. Uh, my mom started looking into Chapel Haven as a way to, try and get me to, work on, a few different skills that I really needed to work on, like my social skills and my, and just like my general ability to, do things like take care of myself or keep track of money and stuff like that. So, yeah, so I came to Chapel Haven and I've really liked coming here, even if at the start it was a bit rough.
Yeah, we're going to come back to that, Dason, and I appreciate you kind of dropping that little nugget because that is a big theme of today. So, Dason, two follow-up questions. One, am I remembering correctly that whenever you were engaged in like a little bit of a day program and you were also job hunting, is that right?
Yes, I was looking for jobs and whatnot. I was not having much success
Yeah.
in that in that department, but I've also gotten a lot of help in terms of like looking into like what to do in terms of things like a resume and whatnot while I've been here at Chapel Haven.
Great. And last question, if you're comfortable sharing, how old are you?
I just turned 23, like, oh wow, no, not just turned, it's been almost 2 months. Okay.
That's right. It was December. I remember we were
December
doing the
5th,
panel on your
yes.
birthday. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Next up is Becca. Becca, same question to you. What were you doing before you came to Chapel Haven?
Hi everyone, my name is Becca. I'm 26. Before I was at Chapel Haven, so I graduated college in 2021, and about 6 weeks after I graduated, I went to a mental health program up in Maine because that's what I thought I needed. And while I was there, I got some neuropsych testing done down at Dartmouth in New Hampshire, and that's when I realized that I had some like neurodivergencies that I always kind of thought I had. Like I always kind of had an inkling that something was off with me, but I never knew it. And once I got that diagnosis, my family and I realized that that program that I was in was not the right one. So then we started kind of hunting around, seeing which ones were, closer to where I'm from in New Jersey originally. And we landed on Chapel Haven as the best one after some discussion, pros and cons, everything like that. We settled on Chapel Haven as being the best program that would fit my needs.
Thanks, Becca. And last but not least, actually, no, two more. Sorry, David, if you'd like to unmute and tell us a little bit about what were you doing before you came to Chapel Haven?
So I had graduated from college, looking for jobs, getting jobs, but not really keeping them very long for all that long. I actually got diagnosed with autism not too long before coming here, and uh, um, yeah,
We're trying to put all that together, right? And kind of
yeah,
figure out how that worked towards your next step in the path. Yeah. Thanks, David. David, do you feel comfortable sharing how old you are?
yes. I am 27.
Fantastic. And now, last but not least, Isaac, would you like to tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you came to Chapel Haven and if you're comfortable sharing your age?
So I'm 30. I'm from New Fairfield, which is near Danbury, and I play the violin. I've been playing since I was almost 9. I went to WestCon for violin performance. And before I came to Chapel Haven, I still played in the orchestra as well as the Danbury Symphony, and I've been working at Walgreens.
Fantastic. Thank you, Isaac. So great job with your introductions, guys. We're going to kind of move into the meat and potatoes of what our conversation is about today. So we at Chapel Haven recognize that, as you've heard from these adults, they're coming from lots of different life experiences. Sometimes just starting out exploring areas, sometimes having mastered areas like you heard with our college graduates. But typically there's a piece that is just not quite there yet to make that full transition into the adult life that they want. And we know that there's a lot of anxiety and questions that can come with that. Maya shared that she was at another program. Sometimes experiences from prior programs might impact how adults are thinking about considering another quote program. So I'm going to ask all of the panelists, and I'll call on you one by one to talk about this, but be pretty candid with how you felt whenever you found out that your parents were exploring this as an option. Becca, I love what you said because I remember it was a conversation between you and your parents. You were very much a part of feeling like the program in Maine just wasn't doing it for you and wanting to find something that was a better fit, versus somebody like Dason, whose mom was maybe initially leading that search a little bit more, and Dason kind of had to come along in various stages. So Becca, why don't you kick us off then? Like, how are you feeling about considering another program? And was there anything that was helpful for you to process through any concerns or reservations you might have had?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be quite honest that when my parents first considered another program like this to me, I think my reaction was the same as the title of this webinar. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, what's going on here? Because I had always kind of, managed to get by on the fact that, I had a lot of academic achievement, and I think I kind of relied on that to get me through all the steps of my life that had already kind of been prescribed. So, not necessarily having the chance to kind of, do the typical process of, oh, you graduate from college and then you move away and you find a job. Like, I was very hesitant to go through with this because I was like, it's not the path that I thought I would be on, back in like 2020. So that was really one of my reservations. Like, am I going to catch up? Like, am I going to be behind from all of my peers and friends that kind of already had the adulting stuff down? And so I think what really helped me through processing my reservations about coming here was the whole visitation process, because they take it really slowly here. You do the day visit first and you kind of spend a day on campus, you get a tour, you get to meet other people that might be in your classes or, in your living space with you when you come here. And then the week visit really kind of gets you into the day-to-day life, and it gives you a real taste of what your life could be like living here. You're in the classes, you're going to the vocational, volunteer opportunities or whatever outings might be happening on campus. So you're really kind of integrating yourself into the community before you even get here. And I think that really helped me kind of come to terms with the feeling of, oh, I can actually see myself living here and being productive in this community and reaching my goals.
Thanks, Becca. That's very well put. Dason, how about you?
Well,
Dason ran through the door and he said, "Sign me up today."
let me see. So, my initial reaction was much like Becca's, like, what are you talking about? Because one of my biggest problems is that I don't do well with change. So when suddenly my mom brought this idea to me of a massive life change, moving to a completely different city that I know almost nothing about and everything, I was just absolutely not. Just like, no, and whatnot. However, I did agree reluctantly to come by and, do some like looking around and do some like webinars like this, attend some webinars like this and things like that. And slowly I was like, maybe it would be a good idea, but maybe it wouldn't. So I just kind of went back and forth, and because I couldn't decide. And, instead of pushing me, Christy and the others actually, gave me some time to think about it, even though it took like a couple of months, and stuff like that. So ultimately I decided I'll come for the sample week and see how that goes. And that's what I did. And it was great. I think it went really well and whatnot. And stuff. I got to meet a bunch of people and just kind of hang out. And, I realized, okay, so this wouldn't be too bad. And might actually be a good thing for me and whatnot. And in those few days that I spent here really cemented the idea that, I really like this place and I really want to come here.
Thank you, Dason.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember, Dason, your process, and I remember, saying to both you and your mom, like, we just got to take a pause. Like, let's let Dason figure it out. And I remember, Dason, you were very articulate about that you had just started making some friends in your day program and that you were in the midst of a job search and you kind of wanted to see how those went before you made your decision.
Yeah.
But we're so glad that you did come and that it has been so helpful for you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Isaac, how about you? What were you feeling whenever you guys started checking out Chapel Haven?
Well, first I was nervous and hesitant because, no, I guess first it was, I guess, a similar thing. My parents want me to do Whaaat, but I mean, I hate to say this, but one day my mom will pass. But also I do one day want to raise a family, and most people, like, we wouldn't have, I don't think we'd have room in you would have more room moving out. And I figured I'd try it. I might like it. I don't have to go far. And
Yeah, so it sounds like your goals were really what were driving you to give it a shot, because of what you wanted to accomplish.
yeah.
Was there any part of the process that was especially helpful for you in feeling a little less anxious about it?
About Chapel Haven?
Mhm.
Well, there is music here. It's like next door to Southern,
Mhm.
also as well as good pizza, of course.
Yep. Good selling point. Thank you, Isaac. Maya, how about you?
So I was hesitant to like even look at Chapel Haven actually, because I didn't think I was ready to live in an apartment by myself and more like not even cook my own meals. Like I didn't think I was ready for all this like independence, and I think part of that was that I was living with a family at the time in the program I was in, and they were cooking all the meals for me. And like I did my own laundry, but they were cooking the food and like driving me everywhere. And I wasn't learning to take transportation or cook my own food or decide what I wanted to eat. Like I just didn't think I was ready for all of this. And then I ended up coming for my sample day um and then my trial week, and I met my roommate Anna, and um I saw what like she was doing and realized that it wasn't that bad, that I can make my own meals and I can learn how to take transportation.
Awesome. Yeah, and cut to Maya now making one new recipe a week.
Yep.
Had the pleasure of stopping by her apartment at lunchtime, getting to smell all the good smells a couple of times of what she's made. So thanks, Maya. And David, how about you? What were you how were you feeling about the idea? And anything that was helpful for you in the process of considering?
Um, I think that I was open to the concept, at least, of going to a program where I could learn to be independent, and have an apartment and all that stuff. Um, I think that um, I think I was a little apprehensive in some of the specifics. Um, uh, I think that the day visit helped me, you know, uh, accept the idea a bit more, um, and that I would have like-minded peers in the program.
Yeah, and David, actually, that's a perfect segue into another question I wanted to specifically ask you because I think some of the hesitancies that you're referring to were around peer fit, right? And whether this was going to be like a group of people you felt comfortable with. And so, just a note, to our audience today that we do have several different programs that operate from our campus. We have another transition program that serves young adults with mild developmental and intellectual disabilities. We have a program that serves aging adults. And so it is really important for prospective students to feel like there's a group within that bigger community where they feel like they connect. And Jason, I remember us having several conversations, about that. So tacking onto that, can you talk a little bit about how, especially since your autism diagnosis came a little late, like how does your disability show up? And on the flip side of that, like what are your abilities that come from, having autism that are helpful?
Me or David?
Yeah.
David, I'm sorry, did I say Jason?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, too many D names. David.
Um, Sorry, the question again?
Yeah, no problem. Tell us a bit about how your autism looks for you.
Um, so for a lot of my life, we thought I really only had ADHD, and then more recently learned that I was also on the spectrum. And so because of that, sorry,
Were there some strengths that you felt like made sense to you in the context of that autism diagnosis?
yes. Uh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, David. You're doing fine. One of the things I was thinking about with you is how you could really get into these hands-on projects and dedicate a lot of focus and attention to doing a great job completing those. But that maybe on the flip side of that, in between those projects, maybe it was sometimes hard to get started with the next project or how to string along enough projects to make that like a consistent side job. Would you say that's
Yeah.
accurate?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Maya, how about you? Tell us a little bit about how your abilities and disabilities show up.
So I do not actually have autism, but I do have nonverbal learning disabilities. I have a issue with math that makes it hard for me to do certain types of math problems without the help of a calculator or a person. But I am very passionate in art and I love to paint and color and just various forms of art. So I think that kind of makes up for uh, the fact that I can't do math in a way.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I can, but not like other people can, I suppose. And I am very passionate about animals, very caring towards them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've gotten to see some of Maya's two passions come together in like horse paintings and dog
Yeah.
paintings, and they're fantastic and full of color and life and joy. So thank you, Maya and David, for both of you for sharing that. For time's sake, I'm not going to have every panelist answer every question. So I'm going to move on to our next one. And I'm going to ask Dason to tell us about your college experience and how is this connecting to a long-term career goal that you have?
Well, I think in terms of my college experience, first I have to go back to before I was at Chapel Haven.
Mhm.
So initially, I had actually tried this exact same course that I am currently in right now, but I failed miserably, like just absolutely horrible. I bombed it. You know, there's a lot of different things going on and whatnot, and I just failed. I just decided to cut and I basically decided to cut and run. After coming to Chapel Haven, I decided that I wanted to give it another shot. And the staff here actually helped me. They helped me with making sure that I got all of my applications in, they helped me make sure got my classes organized, helped me make sure that I had time for homework and uh, things like that. And, you know, they always offered help if, you know, I was stuck on something on, you know, like let's say they would come in for like the evening, you know, their evening rounds to, you know, see if I needed help with anything. They'd see me doing homework and, you know, I'm clearly frustrated with something. So they'd ask if, you know, you needed help or something like that. So it was really great. And right now, I skipped right over the course I'm talking about.
Okay.
So right now, the course I'm in is library library tech certification. So and thanks to the help, I actually last semester I got, what was it? I believe it was like a mid A. It was what, like an 80, 81 and a 91. Yeah, and whatnot. So or an 84 and a 94. Was that whatever? Um, but you know, it was really helpful, and now I'm starting my next semester of classes.
And Dason, your degree or your certification area that you're focusing on with the library technology piece of things, have you had some volunteer opportunities as part of your programming at Chapel Haven
Yes.
that have maybe supported that?
Yeah, so initially I just did like the normal volunteer opportunities with the classes that are here, but after a while I was like, these don't really fit me and whatnot. So they were like, okay, so let's so the staff here was like, okay, we'll work with you to find something. And so initially they found me a volunteer opportunity at New Haven Reads, which is a book bank and whatnot. So it's not directly a library, but I've volunteered in libraries before, so a lot of the stuff was similar. Sorry about that. And and currently I am volunteering. Actually, this Friday I'm starting to go back to the SCSU Bewley Library for my volunteer there.
Nice. Thank you, Dason.
Mhm.
Becca, how about you? You mentioned in your intro that you had completed your college degree, your bachelor's degree, prior to coming to Chapel Haven, but I know you've also had some additional college experiences since then. Can you share about that?
Yeah, so right now I'm in my second semester of my Master in Arts and Psychology at Southern, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I came out of my first semester with a 3.86 GPA, which I'm very proud of, especially my B plus in stats, because that was not an easy course.
Yeah.
Um, and I think my long-term goals really connect to, why I came here in the first place, because when I got my neuropsych diagnosis and I got all the recommendations and my diagnoses and stuff, I was like, okay, if I had gotten this like 10 years ago, I feel like I would have been in such a different place in terms of, where I was at and the support I got. And so that's kind of motivated me to have a career path of wanting to assess and treat individuals with disabilities and give them assessments so that they can find out what their difficulties are and also what their strengths are and what kind of support they can get to reach their full potential. So I think my experience here has kind of reinforced that career goal, and I love that I can go to Southern and be a student, and then I can also be here and see my friends and do social recs, and I have a really nice balance of work and school and social life, and I feel like now I'm finally really getting everything balanced and nothing is really taking over in that regard.
That's awesome, Becca. And kudos on all that hard work, you and Dason both. So next question relates a little bit to the vocational supports that are available here at Chapel Haven. Isaac, could you tell us a bit about the vocational program that you're doing?
So I'm doing PAVE, which is Partnership and Achievements or Vocational Experience. A lot of second years do it. Not all, but a lot. So Jason's also doing it. I'm volunteering at Yale New Haven Health 3 days a week, and I'm supposed to be there today, but I had to take off for this.
And what department do you
I
work
do
in?
the specimen lab.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your responsibilities?
I receive test tubes through pneumatic tubes, sort them out, I track them.
Yeah, so a lot of responsibility, and you're working directly alongside the hospital employees there. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Nice. Maya, how about you? I know you're not doing PAVE, but you've had some volunteer experiences.
I have. So since coming to Chapel Haven, I have volunteered at Goodwill and a like hospice agency doing paperwork. And at Goodwill, I would like restock shelves, put new things out, and take things off the shelf corresponding to the color on the sticker that's on the item. And then we volunteered at the Beardsley Zoo in the summer. And I was doing kind of grounds work, maintenance, cleaning trash and raking leaves and such. Mentioned earlier that I have a very passionate about animals. So like before Chapel Haven, I have volunteered at a lot of horse farms and one point a dog daycare. Especially love horses and dogs. And there's a chance I am going to be volunteering at a therapeutic horseback riding center, maybe in the next month or this coming month. So that is very exciting for me.
That is exciting, Maya. I know that's been a goal that you've been wanting to work towards, so I'm so happy that's coming up.
Me too.
Yeah, and so just to kind of highlight, so Maya's a first-year student in the program, and the experiences she described are pretty typical because we really want to do a couple things. One, we want to give some exposure to different kinds of opportunities, but two, we want to make sure that those soft skills that you have to have, no matter what your job is, to be successful, that those are really in place. And then from there, in the second year, start narrowing that focus, maybe through PAVE, like Isaac described, or other opportunities. Or individualized opportunities like Jason talked about. And then again, post-graduation, hopefully have that focus narrowed even more so that you can be ready to launch into, a longer term career. Thank you, guys. So the next question is, what are you most proud of since joining the ASAT program? David, could you share with us what you're feeling about that?
Yes. So last Monday, I believe, I went for an interview at a company, and this last Thursday, so last week, I heard that they were offering me a paid internship, and so that's supposed to start on the 10th.
And what will your duties be with that?
Automated testing. So I would be taking parts of what they make and testing them to make sure that it works.
And David, this is somewhat in alignment with your college degree, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I was thinking so. That's awesome, David. Congratulations. I think last time I talked to you, you had interviewed, but I hadn't found out that you had gotten it, so well done. Becca, how about you? What are you most proud of since joining the ASAT program? You kind of talked about some big things earlier, but anything else?
So, actually, about a month ago, I went to a friend's wedding down in Maryland by myself, and this friend was actually also an ASAT student. She graduated at the same time as me, and she was one of the first people I'd met. My day visit really clicked, and then my week visit, we got closer. And then once I was actually in the program, we're like best friends, and she invited me to her wedding. So I was kind of the delegate, Chapel Haven representative to come and celebrate her at her wedding. And so I managed to use the travel training skills that I developed through my time at Chapel Haven. And I took the train down to Union Station, and I got to the hotel, and I stayed in the hotel by myself, and I coordinated transportation, all the various events, and everything went off without a hitch. And I was really happy that I was able to celebrate one of my best friends as she enters this next chapter in her life with someone that she also met through Chapel Haven. So it's kind of a full circle moment there. But I also feel like that was a really big culmination of, all the skills I'd learned and all the independence I'd gained. And I'm really excited to, travel more by myself, maybe go on an airplane for the first time on my own. That'd be really fun. So, I just feel like I'm kind of using all those skills that I've gained and kind of bringing them all together into a cohesive, whole to reach, whatever outcome I want. So.
That's fantastic, Becca. Yeah, I heard from Mike that you were down at the wedding and that it was a great celebration. So that's
really
wonderful.
great.
I love your full circle, descriptor there. So guys, we're starting to draw towards an end. So I want to invite a few of you to say what advice you would give to young adults who think back to when you were in those kind of nervous shoes, not knowing what was going to come next. What advice would you give to those students who are there now thinking about a possible next step? Isaac, do you want to start us off?
So, next step for prospective students.
Yeah, like if they were a young person considering joining a program like Chapel Haven, what advice would you give them?
Well, take it one step at a time. It might not be easy at first, but you will get the hang of it. And it's okay if you don't know how to cook or use transportation. You learn.
Exactly. That's what we're here for, right?
This is a school. It's not an academic school, but it's a school.
Yep. Thank you, Isaac. Maya, what about you? What would you offer as advice?
I would say that even if like you think this program isn't for you and your like parents told you about it and you don't want to come, like I would say just try the sample day, give it a shot because you might surprise you. You might enjoy like going to classes and cooking your own meals and the sense of freedom. And it can be nerve-wracking at first, but eventually you'll find those people that you click with and you can be friends with and just have fun with, you know.
Thank you, Maya. And then Dason, what about you? What advice would you give?
You might have already seen it on my slide, but my advice would be, be ready for the change in how you're in what your life will be like. Having a roommate, having to suddenly keep up with all the different things around an apartment, and whatnot. And if you're like struggling or something's going wrong, then don't be afraid to speak up and ask staff for help because, that's kind of what they're there for.
Thanks, Dason. You guys, I have to tell you, my heart is so full hearing all that you shared today. For our audience, we did a similar panel to this back in December, and I learned even more new things just since December in terms of what these students have, achieved and worked towards. And I'm just so proud of all of you and the work that you're doing here because I know it's not always easy, but you have taken it step by step, you have stuck to it, and you are really doing some tremendous things. I'm also super excited to hear that the admissions process was helpful. I think Maya said that we take it slow or that there's a lot of steps, and she's right. We do that really intentionally because we don't want people to feel overwhelmed and we know it's a big deal. And so we want to take time to slowly get to know each other, to hopefully reduce that anxiety at each step. And I think also the thing I love hearing you guys say too is just about the friends that you've made and the people that you've connected with here, because that is no joke, a tricky skill as an adult. Whenever you're not in school with people day in and day out, it can be hard to find your people and make those, kind of lifelong friendships like Becca was describing. So I'm so glad that Chapel Haven has been a place where you all have been able to do that as well. So that is our last question that we had for the group. And actually, guys, we did really good. We're like 5 minutes ahead of schedule. So I'm wondering if there are some questions that have come in through the chat, or if folks would like to ask questions to the students on the panel, we would welcome those.
And you can feel free to raise your hand. It's in the it should be in the react button if you have one, or put it in the chat.
If not, I can come up with more questions. We can talk more, but we certainly like folks to have the opportunities to really ask the students about their experiences. Maybe while we're waiting for questions to roll in, I'll put this one out there. What's the best recipe you've learned to cook since you've been at Chapel Haven? I'm going to let Maya start that one off.
This is a really tough question for me. I've made so many good things since being here. I'll just start. My favorite foods are mainly Italian and Mexican foods, so I do a lot of those. I try to mix that up though and try to do new things.